crypto mining here. So today we're gonna be fixing a rig that's been giving me a lot of problems. So this is a 3060 Ti rig. Okay, I'm gonna replace it with an old board. So I got a board with a CPU, memory stick. I'm gonna swap out the M.2 just so I don't have to redo any of HiveOS. But we're gonna swap the board. What I think is the issue, it's the rig that's down here in the bottom. And I think, I didn't have this problem last year, but this year I had a problem. Whenever it snows, one of these rigs goes down. And it's usually this one, or one of these two. But it's usually this bottom one. And what I think is the issue is, it sucks in some moisture of some sort. Because you can see a little bit in the corner. I have the filters in there, which should help, but I think this year, because I have so much more suction with so many more exhaust fans, it is just sucking in some kind of moisture and it's just tripping the board. So every time it snows, I usually have to come out here and reboot this rig. So I had to come out and reboot it. It's not lighting up. The other night I reset the CPU on this rig and it lit right up and started working. So I think it's something to do with the motherboard. Maybe it's finally shorted out. I don't know. But we're gonna replace the motherboard, see what happens. And then I'll take the motherboard and clean it up and look at it and reset and get it set up as an extra going forward in case I have more problems with something else. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna work on this rig and replace the motherboard real quick. I'm gonna try to set up my phone and do a time lapse. We'll see how that goes. And I'll see you guys back in a little bit when I'm done. Okay guys, got the new motherboard in, got the old one sitting here. So I'll take that inside, we'll kind of play with it, see if we can figure out what's wrong with it. But this one, we're gonna plug it in and see what we get. The other one wasn't even booting up, so as long as it boots up, we should be fine. I shouldn't have to do anything with HiveOS because I used the same M.2. I know this board worked at one point, so I shouldn't have to update the firmware or anything on it. Or the BIOS, I don't have to update the BIOS on it. So it should be plug and play because I have the extra parts. I don't have a monitor set up. I have one of these 7-inch Kuman monitors, but I don't want to set it up. It's kind of a pain. I just have this one for emergency. But let's see what happens when I plug this thing in, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, my plan didn't work. So now we're gonna rebuild this. Since it didn't work, I don't think it's the motherboard. And I even flashed a new M.2, and that still didn't work. So I am going to go back to the original, but I'm gonna use the new M.2 because I think sometimes these don't like the cold. I'm just gonna go try that. I wasn't 100% sure that this motherboard was set up. I thought it was, maybe it wasn't. I'm gonna try a new power supply. This is the good thing about having a bunch of extra parts. I'm gonna try a new power supply. I'm gonna try a new power cord. I'm gonna try a new breakout board. It's the good thing about having extra stuff. You don't have too much because then you're wasting money, but at least it's good to have one or two extra of everything and then you just test it. So I'm gonna try all that and rebuild this and we'll see what we get. So as you can see, it's up and hashing. Now what ended up happening, which was very difficult to see, was the motherboard actually went out. And so the motherboard wasn't working, so I wasn't turning on. So I have a spare motherboard, I have a spare processor, I have a spare M.2, I had spare power supplies. So I tried every combination. And then what actually threw me for a loop was my spare CPU also didn't work. So it kept kept coming up with a CPU issue once I got booted up. And so I finally switched back to the original CPU, but with a new motherboard. I got it working on a USB flash drive, which was actually, I had some help last night from King, Hawk, Max Voltage, and a couple others. We were all in Discord playing games together. I was working on this while we were playing games, and they were throwing out ideas, trying to figure out what I hadn't thought of yet. And so finally got it working, but ended up being a motherboard. We're back to the original CPU, we're back to the original M.2, original power supply. So it was a motherboard. So now I have to order another one because I don't have an extra anymore. You always want to have one extra, which is fine. I was only down for a day. So moral of the story is keep trying stuff. You know, try to do one thing at a time, two things at a time, so you kind of can isolate the problem and then go from there. And you know, once you kind of run out of options and you're spinning your wheels, it is okay to reach out for help. But as Max Voltage always says, if you're not trying everything that you can think of before you reach out, you're not helping yourself learn. You know, if you run into a problem and you say, oh, I have a problem here, I'm just gonna go ask someone for help. No, try a couple things, try to figure it out, see what works, see what doesn't. And when you run out of options, then reach out to someone. Okay, that's the best way to learn, to have a problem, try to fix it yourself. So we're back up and running, thank God. I can take this stuff back down, go back to everything running like it's supposed to. But yeah, just even us seasoned miners have issues like this that we have to deal with. So if you're new to the game, don't get discouraged. It's normal, and we all have to deal with it. Even the red furry guys of the world have to deal with it. Thank you for watching.